Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs Show. Happy Sunday morning to you all, and happy, I guess, Thomas Frank first signing day yesterday. To Mathys Tel signing permanently. We're going to be looking at the structure of the deal. It's quite a fascinating one, actually. It's something that I think we kind of previously talked about probably a week or two ago. But now, having got the information, it all makes a little bit more sense to what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about Antoine Semenyo, Bryan Mbeumo. There's others. There's like 4, 5, 6 different players to talk about. I'll get to it because, to be honest, my brain's not really working after a long day of drinking yesterday. So we'll sort of get there. Morning, Sean, your Spurs, Ian, Graham, Sean, Surendra, Baz. How are we all? Yes, Mathys Tel. Let's start there. He is signed. Here we go. Confirmed. All that jazz that you look out for when it comes to signings. He is done. He is announced as Thomas Frank's first signing, technically. So the deal is a 35 million euro deal. Let's just call it 30 million plus 10 million loan fee and 5 million in add-ons. So look, it adds up to being 50 million euros. But when you are breaking it down, the deal really starts from next year, and then you're paying 35 million in installments, okay? I don't mind the deal personally. I know for some, they believe they haven't sort of seen enough of Mathys Tel. Personally, I have seen enough. I think, unfortunately, for youngsters in football at the moment, and I think Mikey Moore suffers from this, Odebear suffers from this, and it is a shame, but a lot of people very much have held their youngsters to a standard that's just not normal. Lamine Yamal is very much a anomaly. He is not the norm, okay? Youngsters don't normally get that good that quickly. Very, very rare, okay? So take him out of the equation. Is Mathys Tel a good youngster? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the ability that he can play across the front three, the fact that I've been watching a little bit of him in the under-21s football for France. Looks a proper player. Odebear, I'd probably say actually he's played better than him, which is the irony. But I think there is a player there. You know, I think you have to bring context as we do to every conversation. If you're talking about a player who's, 19, having left Bayern Munich to go to a brand new country, brand new language, to a team that's got 12 injuries, you've got no match fitness or sharpness because you've not really played for about 3 weeks before joining, and you're asked to play 90 minutes straight away, you're probably not going to be great to start off with. I think, having a bit of patience with youngsters would be great. I think some fans, especially last year, I think patience was not forthcoming with certain people for whatever reason. But for me, I think Mathys Tel, there is an exciting player there. I think he is going to develop quite a lot this season. He's going to get a pre-season. He's going to get tour. He's going to get the ability to build match fitness. He's going to get the ability to play with a team. The irony is that they're healthy at the moment. When we talk about the Europa League run, and when you watch Mathys Tel play in the Europa League, he was playing with the main players. He was playing with the better quality team. He was not playing with a 18-year-old centre-mid centre-back and a 32-year-old left back at centre-back. He's playing with, World Cup winning, double Copa America winning, player of the tournament, Christian Romero. The quickest centre-back in all of football, Mickey van der Ven, our actual left-back, Destiny Doggy, so all those things play a massive part. He will improve. I have all the faith in the world. Morning, Lee. How are we? Adventurous Faz, Tommy, Jessica, how are we? So look, happy days for Mathys Tel. Now, obviously, supposedly Thomas Frank really wanted to keep Mathys Tel. That's always quite nice. He clearly has a view as to how he's going to use him. Now, supposedly, this should not stop Spurs still going for a left winger. Depending on what happens with Son, Mathys Tel doesn't stop what they're going to do. Doesn't stop what we're going to do. The deal this season isn't a lot of money. It's next season onwards when the deal starts to pick up in price. So again, it shouldn't really impact our summer spending this summer because the deal was always accounted for. The money that we've been told is always accountable. So now looking ahead, what comes next? Well, I'll tell you. You've asked so nicely. I will tell. By the way, he signs a 6-year deal. Just to give you a heads up, he signs a 6-year deal as well. Apparently Manuel Solomon doesn't want to move. He wants to impress Thomas Frank. It's like, for goodness, sell him. Just sell him. Moving on, though. Moving on, because there is more to talk about. Apparently, Thomas Frank, this is The Athletic, he will be backed in the transfer market with a particular focus on the front line. How they view particular focus is fascinating to me, by the way, because thinking about this squad and thinking about how we lack certain rotational pieces in certain areas, we need the left back. I will hammer this point home as often as I can. We need another left back. Destiny's great, but that's all we've got. And Destiny cannot play 60 odd games a season. Many players can't. I think it took Pedri probably about a couple of years to get past the fact that he was playing 20 games a season. So we need centre-back, potentially. We need a midfielder. What happens in the attack if Son or Richarlison were to leave? You need to then replace them. You need attackers. So that's fascinating from The Athletic. We'll sort of see how that looks, to be honest. Apparently, if Romero, this again, Ben Jacobs, if Romero was to leave Spurs, they would look to replace him with an elite level centre back. I'd love to know the theory behind Daniel Levy's elite and what that looks like, because to be honest, I don't have any faith in the world that would be an elite like Romero level centre back. Mbeumo news, just give a heads up, there is no formal bid for Mbeumo, but in football, formal bids are very different to a verbal offer. Okay, so even though maybe there isn't a formal bid, formal bids happen quite late on, to be honest. They don't really happen. It's not like Football Manager, or it's not like, FIFA, where you make an offer and, that's that. In football, there is verbal offers, there's verbal agreements, there's all those sort of things. So it's no sort of shock. On Mbeumo, it does sort of feel like, and look, this is down to Thomas Frank massively, that, look, he is number one. He's now the number one target. How that affects the rest of the business is going to be interesting. He is a expensive deal. He isn't going to be cheap. This isn't, like Kevin Danso, 20 odd million. This is, 60 plus. They apparently want about 62.5 million. Man United have offered 45 plus 10. So they're still, 7.5 million off of it. On Mbeumo, supposedly, if they aren't to go and be able to get Mbeumo, Semenyo is next on the list, supposedly. Not sure about that one, potentially. But again, it's how they view the attacker. It's how they want to use the attacker. Mbeumo and Semenyo are very direct runners. They're very powerful. I can see why they're going that way. It'd be good also with a left footer in the attack. That's something that maybe we've got loads of right footers. It'd be nice to get a left footer in there as well. So we'll sort of see. Is rumours about Johan Bakayoko being available 70 million? Maybe. Don't know. Hope we're not in there. Morning, Jazz, Eric, Devanch, Boris, Sanford. How are we all? So supposedly, if it's not in Mbeumo, they're going to be looking Semenyo. So got to keep an eye on that. That is fascinating. But yeah, that's Ben Jacobs saying if they can't complete a deal for Semenyo, they're looking at they can't complete a deal for Mbeumo, they're looking at Semenyo. They talked about Eze, but there's no real news. You know what I mean? There's no real news on it. It's just he has a complicated release clause. It's like, yeah, And I've got brown hair and the sign's green. You know, we all know that. Doesn't mean you can't do it. And like I said, I've been out there and said it. You know, the earlier you come to negotiate, the more likely they're willing to talk, because they don't really need to sell. But if they're gonna sell, it will be Mark Guay because he's got a year left on his deal. So got to get it in early doors, you know. By the way, raspberry and rhubarb again. And Mbeumo said this morning he's honouring Man United deal and only look at Spurs if Man United falls through, walks away. I don't think Mbeumo has as much power in that deal as you think, is all I'm going to say, mate. Because at the end of the day, he's not Brentford. And if Man United are not going to offer Brentford what they want, and Spurs will, Mbeumo doesn't really have the power in that deal. Because if Spurs offer 65 million and Man United offer 55 million, you're going to go, well, okay, cool. We'll take the 65 million. And then you say to Mbeumo, oh, if you want to go to Man United, hey, you've had these conversations with your agent. You can go tell them they want 65 million. You've got to offer that if you want me to come. And look, they might be, Brentford may use Spurs to their benefit. They might use them to us, our name in this to panic Man United. But like I said, you know, the idea that Mbeumo's market is just Man United isn't true. It just isn't true anymore. And I think Man United are worried about that. I think Man United are a team that have a peculiar situation going on. You know, it's loud with Gyökeres. Gyökeres prefers Arsenal, but Arsenal are going for Sesko. So then is it going to be Gyökeres and Man United? Obviously, riddled with debt. You know, their FFP is cleared due to Ratcliffe's investment. I think he put like an extra few hundred million into the club, something like that. I believe it stretches their FFP for 3 years, that by about 100 million per year. So they've got a lot more to work with. Players are leaving the club on a free at the end of this month, like Eriksen, for example. They're going to be saving multiple £100,000 a week. They're going to be looking to move off the Sanchos and the Rashfords. But Rashford's deal to Barca is too difficult due to the wages and the fact that Barca would need to give about 40 million. You know, all these things play into it, right? But the reason why I talk about that, and it's the reason why I would talk about, you know, other clubs. I've talked about, you know, Aston Villa in the past and Newcastle. July 1st is the start of the next financial fair play year. Okay, so you've got 2 weeks left of this financial fair play year before the next one starts. There may be fire sales from clubs trying to make sure that they tick off every box. They will not get hit by financial fair play. The other thing is teams like Manchester United, if they, let's say, were to get a Gyökeres, their ability to then get Mbeumo is seriously hampered until they start moving off of players. That's what I'm saying. You'd rather take... Right, okay, Marshall, Jesus. What did Brentford do if he just goes no and doesn't agree terms with anyone but Man United? Brentford, you know, again, he won't screw Brentford just for the hell of it. He wouldn't. And I think Brentford would go, look, I think Brentford's asking price has probably already come down a little bit. But Brentford are like, look, we want a fair price for you. You know, you've been a great servant for us. We just want a fair price for you. You know, if player X is worth this much and you're better than them, why would we accept a less amount? You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. Look, and the agent will be speaking to Man United or higher ups of Man United quite frequently, you know. So I still think he goes to Man United. I really do. Again, let's see what happens when he has a conversation with Tommy Frank and see what happens there. But football can change in a day. You know, it only takes a second to score a goal. The old famous saying, a deal can change in the space of minutes, you know. Morning, Steampunk. How was rugby? Yeah, good game yesterday. Really, really good game yesterday. Really much enjoyed it. Over 81,000 fans there. Cracking game. Cracking game. Moving on, because I've got a few more things to talk about. Javi Simons, that was the one I wanted to talk about. Javi Simons. So Spurs like Javi Simons, but supposedly the price has to be right. They want to do a deal of around 50 to 60 million. Supposedly the price of Javi Simons is unknown. I think the price of Javi Simons is known, and I think it's more than that. I think Javi Simons is probably going to go for about 70 to 80. We talked about Javi Simons previously, so I'm not going to spend time about who he is as a player because I just don't want to. But he's got 2 years left on his contract. Every player we seem to talk about has got 1 or 2 years left on their contract. Has everyone else just noticed that, or is that just me? I mean, 17 goal contributions in 25 games in the Bundesliga, and it's not for one of the big teams. Like, he's not for Leverkusen, Dortmund, or Bayern. Was it 10 assists? No, 10 goals in 25 and 7 assists in 25. Probably would prefer that. Ironically, I'd rather the other way around. But regardless, 17 goal contributions in 25 Bundesliga games. That's a decent return. That is a really decent return. That's like Maddison, for example, right? Just have a quick look at how he did in the Prem. 31 games, 9 goals, 7 assists. So 16 goal contributions, 1 in every 2. And I know that Xavi Simons plays further forward, in the Leipzig system than Maddison played in the Ange system. But tell you what, Simons is. I like Simons. I like Simons a lot. I think he's an absolutely fantastic player who is going to, excuse me, who's going to continue to get better and better and better. I mean, the fact that he's 22 is really, really like crazy. Feels like he's been around such a long time. Obviously being Barcelona youth youngster prodigy, doing it at PSG. I mean, he's played 57 times in the Bundesliga, 34 times in the Eredivisie, 13 times in the Champions League, 7 times in the Europa League. He's capped 28 times by Holland. What was his 23-24 season like? Once it loads. Here we go. So 32 games played in the Bundesliga, 8 goals, 13 assists. So 21 goal contributions in 32 games. 25 and 17 this season, 32 and 21 last season. 13 assists. Fair play. 13 assists in that season. Proper player. Really, really like him. Now, obviously, cost is going to be massive for Spurs. I don't think 50 to 60 will get you it. I think it would be 60 and add-ons needed. Would Spurs do that? This would be, for me, this would be a big statement signing because I really like Javi Simons. It fits the mold of player that I think Spurs are looking for age-wise. He's in his young 20s, but he's experienced. He's got plenty of football under his belt, over 100 times in terms of top-flight football, nearly 30 times for Holland. It's one of Holland's, I think, probably main players in the attack because I think the defense is really amazing. The defenders that Holland have are incredible. It's the attack where I think they somewhat suffer. I would like this one. I'd like this one. And do you know what? He doesn't half give me Spurs player vibes. You know what I mean? Like I just look at him and think he would suit Spurs. He would suit Spurs. Are we looking at homegrown players? Yeah, we are. Absolutely looking at homegrown players. Anything about homegrown players is always we talked about it. Angel Gomez, Jared Branthwaite, Tamori, Mark Guay, Eberechi Eze, Jack Grealish, who I'm coming to next. We're looking at a lot of homegrown players. A lot. How are we going to fix club train issue this summer? We're not. Simple fact is we're not going to fix the homegrown the club train situation this summer. So in Europe, they want you to have at least 4 academy trained players in your club. At present, Spurs have 1 in Brandon Austin. The reason they say 4 is you don't have to have 4, but your European squad size shrinks the less that you have. So last season, we only had 2, Austin and Whiteman. And therefore, due to that, you've lost out on 2 players. Therefore, you cannot carry 2 players over. You had a squad size. It's not a squad size of 25 anymore. It's a squad size of 23. So this season, Spurs can only have 1. And now the squad size is what? 22 or whatever it is. So players like Harry Winks, Oliver Skipp, Carl Walker-Peters, Marcus Edwards, Harry Kane, all club-trained players, we're not going to have them. Now, they might go for a Walker-Peters, for example, and that would allow you to keep him in the squad. I think they'd have kept Oliver Skipp. If they got less than 20 million off last year, I think they'd have kept Skipp for the European squad. But when you get offered 27.5 million for Oliver Skipp, it's like, that's pretty damn good money for a player that's not worth that. And also, it's all FFP and PSR, But people talk about Madueke. It's like he is academy from the Spurs academy, but he's not academy trained for long enough. You have to have a certain amount of years to be deemed academy trained. So we're not going to be having a big European squad. It's just not going to physically happen unless they bring back these players, which they're not going to. They're not stupid. It is what it is. It just means when you go into the other competitions, the Premier League, the Carabao Cup or the EFL Cup, wherever it's called, I just can't be asked. The League Cup. It's the League Cup if you're old like me. And obviously the FA Cup, you're going to have to really use your squad in a smarter way. Now, this is one of the things with Frank this season. I think he's going to find out in not a rude way in terms of like a bad way, but like it's straight away. You're going to find out, hang on, I'm really going to have to start rotating my squad better. There's going to be coaches at the club that have been there through, before Ange, who will go, look, this is something that we find, this is the data. This maybe we need to get Porro up. Porro can't play at the weekend. We need him in the week. Let's get Spence playing that game. We're going to need Destiny in the week. We can't have Destiny. That sort of thing. And you're going to have to really, in a good way, manipulate your squad better than we previously done. Anyone know about? No, we don't know anything on Mikey's injury yet. But hey ho, we'll see. Moving on. By the way, 152 of you are watching me on a Sunday morning. You're legends. Surely you've all got better things to do, though. Good Lord. I talk absolute nonsense. Grealish. Yeah, apparently there's a few things on Grealish. The interest in him is genuine. We all know this. Again, this is Ben Jacobs saying it, but we all know it's genuine. Though, Grealish, Man City do want a sale. Nothing mental there. Nothing mental. How many likes? 32. It's not mental, right? Now, the issue is how much they want for the sale. It's touted something like 40 to 50 million. And I'm like, well, that's lovely. That's lovely. And I'd like to be 6'4" with an amazing head of hair, bigger muscles. I'd like to have all these things. Am I going to have them? No. So what's the point? I'm joking, by the way, on that. But no, on Grealish, they want a sale. They want that, but you're not going to get that sale. And I think Man City are probably aware of that because it's not just the transfer cost on the fee. It's everything's going to go with that. It's the agent fees. It's the signing on fees. It'll be the wages. I mean, the guy's on 300 grand a week. So my attitude when it comes to Grealish is I really like Grealish. And I've always been really out there. If you've been watching for long enough, I really like Grealish. I think he's an absolute. I think there's still a player that absolutely we've seen it when he's not locked to the left wing and sort of plays a bit more central at times. He's actually looked really solid for Man City. Even last season alone, he looked good. And I think in a Thomas Frank system, he could actually have some success. But Spurs aren't paying 300 grand a week for him. Spurs aren't buying him. Spurs would loan him. Spurs would loan him. City would have to pay half his wages, all that stuff, right? So I just can't. I'd like him. Loan deal, fine. I can't see it though. Purely just on cost. I don't think Spurs want to do it. So you know what I mean. You can't see us going for Grealish. Definitely a window to be brave. While soccer side Champions League, need us top squad to finish top 5 beyond previous years. I've done that one. Been allowed an hour to myself as it's Father Day. Whoa. Well, do you know what, James? Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you all. If you are celebrating, if you are a father or celebrating your father, happy Father's Day to you all in England. If you're spending your hour on your Father's Day watching this idiot, I appreciate it. Cheers to yourself, James. Cheers to yourself. Prefer your nonsense to the other channels, mate. Well. Each to their own. There's probably people that prefer other channels and think I'm an idiot. So there you go. Like Grealish, wouldn't mind him on the left as long as we bring a top right winger. Grealish best moment for City was the chase outside. He has pace. Be a good loan for Europe. Well, look, I like Grealish. I really do. Again, though, it's like it will come down to the loan costs for me. That's where it's come down to. I don't think it should stop you doing big business, though. You know, but again, it's. Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling with the Grealish one because I like him as a player. Yeah. More of a mesh. Any chance Eriksen come? No, Eriksen won't be here. Grealish on the way down. Rather players on the way up. Dream Factory, Eze, Solanke, and Mbeumo. Well, yeah, I mean, we all like to dream for a crazy front three, but I cannot see us. I'll be out there and say, as much as they've said that they expect a like a big window, I don't see them making multiple marquee signings. I see them making one marquee signing and a Mbeumo, a Semenyo, or an Eze, for example, and then making other signings, 20 to 40. They won't be making multiple £60 million deals, Can they? Yes. Will they? No. It's Father Andy. Fair enough, adventurous. Grealish really isn't a winger. No, I prefer Grealish central, Morning, him. Yeah, the rugby was good yesterday, mate. Really, really good. Good game. Good seats. Yeah, it was a good time. Marshall, bloody hell, mate. Would you loan him? Well, Tel is technically done. It's a loan deal and a signing of next summer. But yeah, I would. I like Tel. Do you think Son will go? Well, that sets me up, Chris, beautifully. He's throwing me up an alley-oop because I want to talk about Son. Supposedly Saudi, because Ben Jacobs, I think, is quite in the know with the Saudi side of things. If Son was to say yes to Saudi, the bid comes in straight away. They would try and get that one done ASAP. I struggle with this Son one because it's not, by the way, it's not because do I think he's good enough to play for Spurs? Do I want him to stay there? It's actually nothing to do with that. Actually, and this is where I want to have a discussion with you guys. Would he actually go to Saudi? I don't think he'd go to Saudi. Yeah, maybe there's more of a chance that he would, than ever. But I just can't see him going to Saudi. I always thought he'd go to the MLS. That was the one. If he was leaving Europe, I thought he'd go to the MLS. I mean, I can't see him in Turkey. I can't see him in Saudi. And it's like that's what I'm struggling to sort of get. I thought he would even maybe go back to Germany, right? And I know there's links with Ange to Saudi. I don't even think Ange would go to Saudi. I could be wrong. I just don't see it. I mean, let's play the hypothetical game. if he was to go, right? So let's say he doesn't mind the move, he's not against it, and he would do it. Obviously, Spurs would make the most amount of money out of that deal, right? Compared to Europe, compared to, you know, the MLS, because Spurs are going to get a good transfer fee, and they'd probably say to Saudi, we want an extra little bit because we want to pay off Son's last year of his deal, but you have to pay that. And they would happily do that. Son would be a massive, massive name in Saudi because of who Son is, because of, you know, the name that he brings, the eyes that he brings. It'd be one of their biggest signings. You know, I'm not saying it's their biggest signing. We all know Ronaldo's their biggest signing. What I'm saying is what Son can bring on with eyes. It's one of their biggest signings. You know, it's bigger than the Kantés, the Fabinhos, the Manes. You know, it's huge. It's absolutely huge what he would bring. I just can't see him there. I think he is still. I think he is still a European player. I just don't know where. Like I said, I just don't see Saudi and I don't see Turkey. The MLS like him. Apparently, there was like, yeah, MLS could be an option, but the MLS don't have the money to buy him. The MLS would look as like oh, he's on a free deal. Now we can get him. You know what I mean? HV says Spurs will lose many Korean fans. Just how much can we expect for Son from Saudi team? From Saudi, it's like, you know, I always talk about the English tax. Like if you try and sign an English player, you always add on 15 to 20 million. I think with Saudi, you have to add on 15 to 20 million, don't you? So I feel like it's 40 and above, isn't it? Because I think within Europe, you wouldn't get that price though. I think in Europe, you know, European teams would go, look, he's 32. How you can't demand crazy money when he's 32. Or however old he's 31, however it is, it's relevant. You get the idea. 15, 20 million. And Spurs won't, I don't think Spurs would do that deal. Spurs want to do a deal where it's closer to 40 to 50. And the only place that's going to give you that money is Saudi. I don't think you'd get that money from Turkey. And I see why Fenerbahce, by the way, I was sort of on the way back from the rugby yesterday and I thought, I need to deep dive into why Turkey want all these players. You know, they're linked with Bissouma. They're linked with Son. I was thinking, why are they linked with all these players? Like Fenerbahce. And I realised it's because Galatasaray are trying to do big business. Sane, Osimhen. They're trying to build a bit of a team, Galatasaray. Well, they're also linked to Skriniar, which is hilarious because he was at Fenerbahce last year. But apparently, if they can't get a deal done with Fenerbahce, he'd happily move to Galatasaray. Hence why Fenerbahce are looking at players like Son, Bissouma, starting to do their thing now. You know, so I don't think Fenerbahce would have the money for the deal in terms of how much we'd want. They'd have the wages. I think they'd absolutely have the wages. I don't think Fenerbahce would have the transfer fee, though. You know? I mean, would Son go to back to the Bundesliga? Again, I just don't think the money's there for Spurs. This is the thing, right? I can see Son, right, playing in the Bundesliga. I could see him playing in, you know, Serie A. I mean, a slow league like the Serie A, Son would murder that league. At his age now, Son would still murder that league. If you watch the Serie A and you watch the pace, you will see there's a real drop-off. If you watch the Premier League game and then stick on a Serie A game, right, different style of football, the pace is ridiculously different. Like the pace of the Premier League is so high and so intense. The pace in the Serie A is a fraction of that. Everything feels like it's in slow-mo when you watch it compared to the Premier League. So because of that, I think he would do fine in the Serie A. But again, there's no money there. This is the issue. There is just no money in Europe for a player of Son at his age. Son a couple of years ago, yeah, there's still money in Europe. Son now, he's on the back nine of his career. There isn't the money. So I would I want Skriniar nowhere near Tottenham Hotspur. Under Mourinho all those years ago, fine. Now, God no. God no. I'd rather Ben Davies, to be honest, lad. I'd rather Ben Davies. Bissouma will be sold. That's the only certainty. Son, Romero, Richarlison, all up in the air. Son, Son's a question mark. Romero, Atletico Madrid is signing Andy Robertson. That came out yesterday. So much happened when I was at the rugby yesterday that I was not around to sort of, service when you're around 81,000 people is not going to be great at times. And I was walking down the stairs to at half time, and I pull up my phone. I see Mathys Tel, and I was like, "Oh God, that's done, brilliant, fantastic." I can't go live, which is annoying. Not sure Twickenham would appreciate me going live, but then I saw Andy Robertson to Atletico Madrid is picking up steam, and I was thinking they were going for Teo Hernandez, but they must be now seeing that it's a bit more expensive, and well, he's just not that great, if I'm honest. So therefore, they've gone Robertson. And I know then Liverpool are going Kirkes. And it's like, fascinating. And I think, don't get me wrong, I think Robertson had a bounce back career, a bounce back year last year. I thought the year previous, didn't think he was that great. Last year, I think because he was probably a bit fitter last year, maybe that's what it was. Or the team around him was a bit fitter and there was a bit more, I think, the midfield's a bit more solid. I do actually think he had a bounce back year last year. And I think Liverpool are looking at it going, it's probably the best we're going to get out of him in terms of, Robbo's probably in his late 20s, closer to 30. But we're going to sign Kirkes. We've still got Shimikas. This might be the right time. And I think that's the other thing. That's why, look, they won the Premier League, by the way. They won the Premier League last year. And I also think that's their attitude. They kind of go, hey, let's not think with sentiment. Let's think business mind. And let's think about, hey, what's this guy in 2 or 3 years' time? And that's why I'm saying be braced for the Son conversation because it will be there. That's why I'm saying about Bissouma and Richarlison. Let's take the sentimental hats off, put the hats on of, thinking about the future and thinking about going forwards. It just might be the right time. It just might be the right time. Bayern wouldn't pay much. I think Bayern are looking at Rafa Leao. I think they're looking at Rafa Leao, which I don't think that's the right move. I really don't. Son at Bayern, I would never begrudge Son going to a club like Bayern. I didn't really begrudge Kane in a way. Like, don't know, it sucks, but if Son was to go there now, I'd go and chase a few more trophies. Because he's won a trophy with us. It doesn't feel as bad now. I'd be gutted to see him leave. But yeah, a front four of Son, Musiala, Elise, and Harry Kane. Yeah, I think that would work. But then Bayern are trying to get off of some of the older players in their squad. So that's why I don't think it would ever happen. Nicola Pasili, I talked about him a couple of days ago. He's at a European tournament for the under-21. So I think any deal for under-21 players unless you've done it before, are super unlikely to happen now. We think it's hard to get money for Son. Wait till we ask 70 million. Yeah. I'm happy to overprice Romero and go, oh no, Romero has to stay and be our captain. Oh no. How will I cope? For home games, we drink bar. The bins on the right-hand side of the goal line bar. Walk up, says, the bin boys will say, yes, get yourself a pint and join us. For home games. I'm trying to work that out, James. Trying to work that out on the Chief. Big up, Steve, mate. How are you? Do you think now? Well, hang on. Do you now think we are more likely to sign Mbeumo? Before Frank, he's the manager. So before then to now, yeah, it's increased. Absolutely. Everyone would agree. Even Man United fans would say, well, yeah, of course. His literal manager has now joined Spurs. But in terms of will we? No. I still think it'd be Man United. I appreciate it, Marshall, mate. Appreciate 165 of you on Father's Day watching me. Legends. If Romero says Frankie use him as no, let's This isn't a dig at you, Sam, but anyone that's been around this channel long enough knows when people tell me, let's play Porro at right wing and Romero at 6, I lose my marbles. I don't get the idea of taking any one of our top players and then taking them out of the position that made them that top player. You build around those players in their best positions. So Romero being a World Cup winning centre-back, let's keep him there and build around that. You know, I also think the idea, by the way, in football that you need this dominant number 6 to be brilliant is super overrated. Have a look at the PSG number 6 and the Portuguese number 6 guy. He's smaller than me. He's slight. He's pretty damn good. You know, I think, look, Rodri is Rodri, and Rodri is still, in my opinion, the best 6 in the world, and by an absolute country mile. I mean, he won a Ballon d'Or. I think Vitinha is probably going to be in the conversation this year because of all the trophies he's won, you know, Nations League, Champions League, the French Cup, Ligue 1. He's not winning the Super Cup, though, is he? Big Tommy Frank's going to have a word with you. You know, he, though, is a phenomenal player. But yeah, you don't need a dominant 6. You just need a guy that reads the game well. And he's you know, if they're mobile enough, but you also need the other midfielders to do their part. And I think at times this season, we've not had enough players do their part. So, yeah, we'll sort of see on that one. Zabarnyi looks like he's agreed personal terms with PSG. Yeah, talking that they want like 75 million. I'm like, Romero's better than Zabarnyi. What are we doing? Why would we accept 40 million or whatever it was from Atletico Madrid when Zabarnyi's going to get sold for about 75? Morning, Kazi, mate. I would want Spurs to fight more for Mbeumo than Semenyo. Semenyo's a good player, but Mbeumo is consistent. Well, look, on the other thing is Mbeumo is Frank formation proven. You know, that's a big thing. You know, Mbeumo Simons. I'd say Mbeumo right now just because of Frank. But if it, like, let's say Frank wasn't the manager, I'd say Simons. Fair enough, James. John Evans is great. Yeah. Well, look, Zabarnyi being sold makes Semenyo's value go up, by the way. So, if Spurs want Semenyo, act quick. Otherwise, they're going to whack on another 5-10 million to the deal. You've got to be careful with that. Got to be careful with that. Have I missed anything? This is going to... Some Spurs fans are going to twerk about this deal. And I will be honest, Spurs have an eye on Ajax defender Jarell Hato. There you go. I'm gonna wait for the craziness in the chat to be like, oh, Hato, I love Hato. Just waiting for it. I'll give you a few seconds before I bring up all of his information so people have an idea about who the hell this guy is. Okay. I don't know much about him. Oh, do you know what? I thought, yeah, here we go. Hato's great. I like Hato. Cozy, mate, how you been? How you been, Cozy? Who's Hato? There we go. Right. We're not doing backups. We don't do backups. We do rotational players. He's 19-year-old. He is a left back / centre back for Ajax. His contract expires in the summer of 2028. So we've got 3 years left on his deal. He played 50 times this season for Ajax. 3 goals and 6 assists, which, hey, that's quite impressive. Just want to get his... I hate meters. I can't work meters. Meters to feet. So he's about 5'10". There you go. Meters, ridiculous. He's capped 6 times already by Holland, by the way, as a defender, as a 19-year-old. Pretty damn impressive, if you ask me. Just want to see how much top flight football he has played. He played just over 4,100 minutes this season. That's a lot of football. He's already played 111 times for Ajax as a 19-year-old. Wow. He's played 75 times in the Eredivisie, 17 times in the Europa League, 4 times in the Conference League. You know, cup competitions, all sorts. You know, he made his Holland debut November 21st, 2023. I mean, everything is there that screams Spurs, doesn't it? Everything is there that screams Spurs. You know, it's crazy. You know, but he's left back. Like Adventure says, he'd be great for me because he can play left back, and that's what I'm. Look, a lot of you have asked, "Hey, what about Hatto? We should be in for Hatto. I like Hatto. And I'm like, well, let's see what happens there. We have there's no real links, and then there's a link, and it's like, okay, now I need to pay more attention. Look, that he can play centre back, he can play left back. I would view him more as the left back option. It doesn't really help you homegrown. So let's be real, it's not going to help you homegrown. So they're going to be doing homegrown elsewhere. Be prepared for that. But yeah, on Hatto, I do like him. I do like Hatto a lot. We do need one as well. So there you go. Eze every day, all the way. How Polly? Feet don't make sense. Well, Teddy, mate, you've got feet on the bottom of your legs. That's where they are, mate. Yeah, he's playing is he playing in the Euros under 21s, is he now? Levy won't sign him because he's left back. Oh, I swear to God. Swear to God. Hashtag Coys Daniel. You've got to get me a left back. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my marbles this summer. And Van Gogh. Oh my God, Van Gogh's here. I don't know if Marshall's still here, but Van Gogh is here. Panic, everyone. Panic. Panic stations. How you been, buds? How's things been? For defense, we need Hatto. If Romero leaves, we should get Silva, Diamande, or Bissek. As much as I like Hatto, we really need experienced players now. I mean, he's played over 100 times in the Eredivisie. Sorry, he's played over 100 times for Ajax already. He's capped 6 times by Holland. Like, he's got experience. I think the idea, like, you know, the experience is like, he needs to be 24. Like, if he's 24 and he played 100 times for Ajax, you'd go, oh, okay. Same thing with this guy. Even though he's 19, he's got 100 odd games for Ajax. That's still a lot of experience. He's being chased by the clubs, absolutely. We'll sort of see. What I make of links to Nicola Basili, I do not really buy it. I'm just waiting to see what comes out of that situation. He's at the under-21 tournament, so I don't expect anything to happen for him. You've been watching? No, I know you've been watching. I'm just checking. I'm just checking how you've been. That's all. Morning, MS. How are you? Let Tell us a typical Levy buy. Knock down the price. Always with will interest. Cheapskate. That's the total spending is 50 million euros, but 10 of it is this season. It starts next season. But to be honest, I think it will work out to like 10 million a year, to be honest. So over, stretched out, I'm saying. Do Spurs need to bring a couple of academy trained players? No, so you don't have to have the 4, but if you want a bigger squad, you need to have those players. That's the difference. That's the difference. Have I watched the under-21 tournament? I watched a little bit. I've been trying to watch a little bit here and there, but I've been a bit busy. But yeah, there's some players in that tournament. There really is. England have got some. I'm watching some of the England players, and I'm like, England have got some good under-21 players. They don't seem to have a striker out there. Don't know what I was. Who did they have up front the other day? Was it Hutchinson, I think, up front or something like that? So, yeah. Would I take 2 big signings, Mbeumo and Eze, and no more signings? No, we still need players. Spurs, that squad is still lacking in quality options. So we still need that left back. We still need, let's see what happens with Vuskovic. But he's 18, so no pressure. Let's let him build into it. Midfielder option, attack. We still need a lot, to be honest. We still need a lot. Is there any substance to Javi Simons? Yes, we do like him. We do like him. They do. Delap chose to go to the Club World Cup. Well, he's moving to a new team. I understand it, but right now, I'm talking about right now. They do not have a striker in that squad. Let's get Oliver Skip. Shut your mouth. Have we lost a battle for Mbeumo to United? No. Javi, I just really like Javi Simons. I do. Don't know if it will happen, but I do really like him. Was Mathys Tel been saying stuff? I believe in this team, in this club. Tottenham is not just a club; it's everything. That's a cold statement, Matisse. That's a cold statement. You like that Xavi Simons, but the love is one-sided. I won't be having that. Mr. K, how are you? Obviously, he wants to honour his commitment to Man United. But will Man United honour their commitment to signing him? Because until they raise their price, they won't be signing him. I don't think Brentford are going to, falter just for Man United when they know they can get their money elsewhere, And it's not like Mbeumo is only one to play for Man United, and that's it. He won't play for anyone else. Like, trust me, if Real Madrid came lurking, he'd go to Real Madrid. Like, if it was, if Man United aren't going to get a deal done, but it was Arsenal on the table, Newcastle, Spurs, Bayern Munich, Dortmund, Barca, all these other teams, he would still move. It's not like he might like Man United, but if they're not going to get the deal done, then he'll have to go elsewhere. Game's game. I don't, Frank, do you think any of the Spurs youngsters have a legitimate shot of making the squad? I think that's too hard to say right now. They'll get a chance in pre-season. Absolutely, we'll see them in pre-season. We'll see what we got. Like Vuskovic, like players like Donley. I think Keeley will go out on loan. We've got 3 keepers. There's no need to bring him around. Get him out on loan for another year. Tyrese Hall. Tyrese Hall's going to be a fascinating one. Ajayi. A lot of them will go out on loan, personally. I think a lot of them are going to go out on loan. How much will Simmons cost? We don't truly know. It's quite a subjective question, but I've sort of said about 70-ish. Can we get Arda Güler? No. I expect Arda Güler to play quite a bit of football under Xabi Alonso. In Germany, many people are mad. Max Eberl because of the deal. Did they think they were supposed to get more? Morning, Rec. How are you? Mbeumo's a deal right now. Him and Semenyo. That's Levy's target for me. There'll be more. There'll be more on that. I think Mbeumo's worth the money. He has like 20 goals in the Premier League and fits the system. Who else would be better? Well, look, there's no one else that fits Frank's system better because he's the guy, isn't he? Him and Visser. Visser's the only other guy. I'll tell you what. Let's have a little interactive to end the video because I want to get an idea. If I said to you, you're going to get Mbeumo and just thinking of who else we've been sort of linked to. That's like credible. All right, let's say you get Mbeumo and Grealish, okay? Right? Or you get Visser. So the idea is I'm comparing the 2 Brentford players here. You get Visser and Semenyo. What are you doing? Mbeumo, Grealish, Visser, Semenyo. That's the 2 groups. Which 2 would you be getting if you could? Because I think value-wise, they probably work out not far off one another because of Grealish's wages and things like that. I'm interested what you guys think. Excel, how are you, mate? Nicely tell a bit. Yeah, absolutely, Callum. Absolutely. I think Abbott will go. I think Abbott will go up to either. I think Abbott goes up to a solid League One team and gets a loan deal, and Donley goes to the Championship on loan. That's my early guess. Oh, sorry, we've got Eze and whoever. Eze and who? I'll take that one. Mbeumo and Grealish. Mbeumo because he's significantly younger. You can't have Mbeumo and Semenyo. It's Mbeumo and Grealish or Visser and Semenyo. That's the pairings. I thought people would go Semenyo and Visser, personally. I actually did. But actually, I feel like people are going the Mbeumo Grealish route. Dean, it was rugby was great yesterday, mate. Good win for Bath. Good win for Bath. Atmosphere was immense as well. Last year was good. I watched Bath last year, obviously against Northampton. So Visser and Semenyo. Grealish is injury prone. Visser and Semenyo. I prefer Justin Mbeumo without Grealish. Tel, another underwhelming signing. I personally disagree, George. We need another 10. Mbeumo and Grealish, Simons and David. Eze and Leandro Damiao. Yeah, I better check on Damiao's move. I wonder how the contract talks are going. Will we any closer in getting Leandro Damiao? Been waiting decades for this guy. Eze, Mbeumo, Semenyo, Yorcrez. That's all. That's all he says. I love it. I love it, MS. I love it. Yeah, Pepper was good. Pepper was good. Just give me a Mbeumo. If we sign, I'm going to get a shirt with his name on the back. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll give you that one. It was fascinating just to sort of end the video on what you guys think about, Semenyo's, the Mbeumo situation, because I think there's going to be more to come out of that in the week ahead. Videos tomorrow will continue to be fairly normal. Tuesday onwards, we will be having a change up. We will not be live in mornings, probably. It will be into the afternoon/evenings. So I do apologize on that front, because that's the way the world's going to work for a little while, unfortunately. So apologies if I go live and you're asleep because you're on the other side of the world. Hands up. I apologize, but it has to happen. But excuse me. But look, thank you all so much for joining me this morning. Thank you for all your comments, likes, and subscribes. You're absolute bloody legends. Happy Father's Day if you do celebrate it. But go and enjoy the rest of your Father's Day, the rest of your mornings, the rest of the afternoons, the evenings, wherever you are in the world. Enjoy yourselves. Look after your rest of your Sundays. And yeah, I'll speak to you all tomorrow and talk a lot more about Tottenham. Take care, everyone. Peace. Sean, super chat. Thank you, mate. I did see it. I have seen it. You absolute bloody legends. You absolute bloody legends, Sean Hurl. I did see it just before it ended. Appreciate it, mate. But yes, thank you all so much for joining and enjoy the rest of your weekends. I'll take care. Peace.